Explore the real reason for your deep dissatisfaction. This morning's lesson is drawn from the 55th from the 55th verse of Yong-jig xuan-jue's The Song of Enlightenment. Together let's chant. Who does not see a thing as truly graspable as a Tathagata, thus come one Buddha, hence the name looking from on high. Those who understand the lessons of perception and release are free of karmic burdens. Those who do not still level debts to pay. A hunger that keeps them from being satisfied by even a royal meal. A sickness not even a great physician can cure. All right, so let's explore this piecemeal. So let's consider the phrase, not graspable, but truly graspable. What is being inferred here? We cannot believe our way out of desire. We cannot disbelieve our way out of desire. Why is that? Because the neurocircuitry responsible for desire is older than the neurocircuitry responsible for thought. Our most ancient drives are often described as the 6 F's. And they are tools of our genetic material. It is as if we were great robots, basically serving our genes. All our genes want to do is replicate and pass on the genetic material to the next generation. But even let's stop anthropomorphizing for a second. The genetic traits that are passed on are only passed on from one vehicle, one body, that has lived long enough to procreate the most. That's it. You and I have 2 reward systems, a dopamine-oriented reward system that asks when encountering anything, being in phenomena, do I fuck it? Do I feed on it? Do I fight it? Do I flee from it? Do I faint before it? Or do I faint up, fawn over it? These 6 F's are our primary dopamine drivers. And dopamine rewards for these things for procreation and the things that support procreation, eating, drinking, shelter, safety, and the like. But we have a secondary reward system that is oxytocin oriented, and it rewards for fulfillment. With fulfillment, it gives us a sense of fulfillment when we do things that help not just our own personal survival, but the survival of a tribe or a pack or our herd, or our flock, whatever the case may be. And these have also served us evolutionarily speaking. It has been posited that the dopamine-oriented reward cycle, is older than the oxytocin-oriented reward cycle. And so we're often driven to do things that undermine our sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. We see that with the drive for dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction drove our physical lust, but it also drove our culinary lust and our geographical wanderlust. And it can be argued anthropologically that these drives have served us as a species. There was a time, according to anthropologists and archaeologists, when there was a population bottleneck. We almost went extinct. If it wasn't for our prolific reproduction and our prolific wandering and our prolific sampling of different foodstuffs, we probably would not be around today. So these drives, these profound dissatisfactions, are not necessarily bad in and of itself, but from the perspective of fulfillment, they can really undermine the process. When the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths, the first truth could be, from a certain point of view, the first truth is there are stressors. Circumstantial and physical and interpersonal and mental. They are real. We evolved the ability to perceive them so that we would survive. The second noble truth is that there is a cause for our stress. Our unmitigated survival instincts increase our stress. Their primary drive is not freedom from stress. It's living long enough to reproduce. So there's a conflict between our oxytocin drive for fulfillment and peace and our dopamine drive for survival and reproduction. What the Buddha offers us is freedom from not the presence of our survival-oriented stressors, but from their tyranny. We experience, not only do we experience primary stressors, we experience these secondary stressors of resistance. We resist the presence of things we find painful. We resist the absence of things we suspect could be pleasurable. And so when we have a healthy meditation practice, we still feel the full spectrum of desires, but we are less controlled by the tyranny of our resistance. We are able to make peace with the myriad dissatisfactions in our lives. I'm reminded of a story that comes to us from the reruns of the black and white TV series, The Dick Van Dyke Show. There was a father on the show who was not only a producer, but also an actor. And his son had a small role. He played Dick Van Dyke's son. And Mary Tyler Moore was on the show. One day she spoke to the producer and said, "Your son smacked my ass." And so the producer apologized and he spoke to his son and says, "Mary said you smacked her tush." And his son said, "It's a very nice tush." And his father said, "Yes, she does have a very nice tush." And so as a boy, you see the nice tush and you want to smack it. But as a man, you can recognize that just because someone has a nice tush, it's not there for you. You don't get to smack it. And I'm probably paraphrasing grossly, and I apologize for that. But that's the basic thing, that he was telling his son that as a child, we were slaves to stimulus and response. And as an adult, we're able to recognize stimulus without being a slave to the response. So that's Jim Dandy. How do we get there from here? How do we get to the point where instead of us feeling like we're face to face with our desires, like there's some distance, they're still there, but they're not quite as controlling, not quite as blinding. We have some distance between us and them. Those who understand the lessons of perception and release are free of karmic burdens. Those who do not still have old debts to pay. So, the basic fundamental mechanism of Buddha's quick path is the key. And we'll go into that in just a few minutes. So here's the thing. Without applying the Buddha's antidote, we are going to be forever slaves of our drives. These drives are ruthless. We evolve to always hear them and to always feel them and to always see them and to always smell them, to always long for them. That's part of our survival mechanism. It's like that episode of Star Trek, the original series, where there was a transporter error and there became two Kirks, and one was just a slave to his id, and the other was a slave to a superego, and neither of them could function. We cannot survive as a species without our primary drives. And although they help us survive, they don't help us thrive. They don't give us peace. They don't give us sanity. They don't make us good people. They make us pretty horrible people when we just do nothing but submit to them. So now that we've set the stage, let's reintroduce the antidote, which you're probably familiar with if you've tuned into any of my live streams. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are involuntarily and automatically accessing our sympathetic nervous system. It's not in our brain, although it's in our central nervous system. It's ensconced within the thoracic region, the rib cage region of our spinal cord. And it is not evolved for mind blanking or concentration, but instead for the middle ground between those two extremes. It evolved to simply perceive and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And this noticing, this automatic noticing, is called mindfulness. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are automatically and effortlessly accessing our parasympathetic nervous system. It too is ensconced within our spinal cord in both the lower lumbar region that corresponds with our pelvis, or the pelvic area, as well as the tippy top of our cervical region corresponding with the top of our neck or the bottom of our head. Together, they support both physical relaxation and mental release. And this is simply meditation. A fringe benefit. So if we don't practice mindfulness and meditation, if instead we get bad advice and we replace mindfulness with concentration and meditation with contemplation, we wind up being really, really cranky. We wind up having our blood congest in the amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. However, when we replace concentration with mindfulness, we replace contemplation with meditation, then our blood mass coalesces in the anterior cingulate gyrus, which is just an inch or two or three behind our forehead. This is the seat of empathy, the hub of our mirror neurons. It is said the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, life works very well. No, we don't always get what we want when we want it for as long as we want it. We're not petulant children screaming for a rattle. But we're able to dance through life with greater wisdom and skill and peace and love. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This morning, let's explore Shakyamuni's Easy Dzogchen. Oh boy. Let's begin by reviewing the translation of the mantra. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni, wise one, Maha, greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of the Shakya, Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. Our first practice is known in Tibet as Lama Kyenno, and it translates into English as calling the teacher from afar. It fits within the category of energy work and helps us to practice, or sets the stage for us to practice bliss and letting go. There are three Mahamudras: awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, and love and letting go. We start with bliss and letting go. It is known by many names, including completion stage, Bindu Mahamudra, Anu Yoga, and Tikle in Tibetan, which translates into English as drop. So let's explore this imagery. This picture of the historical Buddha, known as Gautama, known as Shakyamuni, known as Siddhartha, represents the enlightened potential of our central nervous system, our ability to notice and let go and love. This couple up here, sporting in tantric union, literally reminds us of the teachings and figuratively reminds us of the subtle energy that can feed our experience of pleasure. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite Lama come to this crown. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can while reciting this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuha. 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 So what I like to do is this. I like to count 4 repetitions of the mantra on these three creases, and then tip of my little finger, and then I take another breath, and I do it again. And then I take a breath, and then I do it again. And then I take a breath, you guessed it, and then I do it again. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuha. 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 So, having performed mantra meditation, we now switch gears to silent meditation. As children, the first bike we received most likely had training wheels, which, although were clunky, got the job done. Similarly, this morning's first exercise is going to be ungainly. How do we practice sati, pasadis, mindfulness, and meditation, the seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? Simple. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And as we exhale, we silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So I like to do this. I choose to do this for 2 sets of 17 rounds. So 17 rounds. How do I count to 17 on 4 fingers and 1 thumb? Simple. I'm going to show you how I do this by subjecting you to jumbo cam. Okay, so each finger has 3 creases, 3 sets of creases and a tip. So every time I inhale, I can move my thumb. First inhalation, second inhalation, third inhalation, fourth. And then you multiply that an additional 3 times. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. But you might say, the number on the screen said 17. How do you get to 17? Instead of starting here, I'm going to switch to lap cam, which sounds pornographic. I assure you it's not. I rest the tip of my right little finger upon the great knuckle and the base of my left little finger. So the first repetition is here. And then I count to the 16. If I'm going to do 2 sets, then I begin counting the second set by sliding my right pinky up to the second knuckle. Now, is this mandatory? No. This is something that was inspired by teachings I received from an ancient Bengali many decades ago. I find it helpful. We live in a strange time where fascism seems to be on the rise. Malas can be stolen or broken or quote-unquote confiscated, but we always have access, typically always have access to our hands. So I find this useful. Perhaps you will as well. So we alternate back and forth between mantra meditation and silent meditation. Every set of 4 mantra breaths I count to my left hand. So we just completed our first of 16, and now we're preparing for our second of 16. The second of 16 I describe as the outer preliminary practices, or ngondro. For the first breath, okay, which is 4 mantras, we're going to play with May I Notice Others' Stress. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. For our next breath, may I use cause and effect in the benefit of all. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. For our third subset of 4 mantras, we're going to play with the recitation. In change, may I see the folly of clinging. And that can be illustrated, if you're brave, by holding on to an ice cube. Because after an hour, the ice cube is gone and the hand is wet. No matter how tight you cling to that ice cube in the center of your palm, it's going to melt, and then it will be gone. And your garments will be wet. And your hand will be cold and achy. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. May I make the most of these opportunities. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. So now my left thumb is on the second set of creases, and I'm ready to do another set of 16 or 17. Now I'm ready to do some more silent meditation. So now we're going to remove the first of 2 metaphoric training wheels, thus reducing our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. How are we going to practice Chan's mindfulness meditation? Simple. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite sitting tall, reminding our body to generate a vertical traction between our tejas and our head. During our exhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite relaxing. We're going to do this for 2 sets of 17 rounds. Oopsie. We now prepare for the inner preliminary practices, oopsie, or ngondro. And so I'll be advancing the left thumb upon the left pinky to the third set of creases. May we free all from the tyranny of hating, craving, and confusion. Not the presence, just the tyranny. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa. Now, how are we going to manage this? How are we going to do this? Simple. By relying on the Buddha's example instructions and students. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa. To err is human. So is lying to ourselves about our mistakes. So we want to do better. If we want to do better, if we want to grow and evolve, we have to learn from our mistakes. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa. There will be times when we have something that others don't have and that others need. And when we find ourselves in that position, it would be great if we, from the bottom of our heart, desire to share with others. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Esowa. Our next 3-syllable meditation is as follows. As we inhale, we silently and mentally guide our mindfulness with the words, "Notice this." And as we exhale, we silently and mentally guide our meditation with the word, "Relaxing." One moment. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go back over here. Copy. So we're going to do another 2 sets of 17 rounds. We return to energy work. This one is called Guru Yoga in Sanskrit, and in Tibetan it is known as Lama Nal Jor. And it facilitates additional bliss and letting go. Instead of being overhead, this time the couple sitting in tantric union and sitting at the heart. And for the next 4 breaths, Lama, come to this heart. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Remember, as we are chanting the mantra, we are relaxing as best we can. Next inhalation. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Now let us remove the second of 2 metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. During our inhalation, we can guide our mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this. And during each exhalation, we can guide our meditation by silently and mentally reciting the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Having completed the first 4 sets of 16 mantras, we now prepare to focus for the next 4 sets of 16 mantras on bringing the experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness, the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental, into the conventional path of love and letting go, where love is emphasized. This is known by many names, including generation or creation stage, Tantra Mahamudra, Mahayoga, or in Tibetan, Tokal, which translates literally into English as leap over. So we're going to flip-flop between an extensive verbal wish and the concise, silent version of the same wish. In this extensive verbal wish, we're going to introduce similes, that which will inform the concise metaphors. If at any point you have any questions whatsoever about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Do not wait till the end of the live stream. Strike while the iron is hot. Why do we work with similes and metaphors? Because we evolved to think symbolically, and we address the deepest recesses of our mind through the skillful use of figurative language. So I advance my left thumb to the base of my left ring finger in preparation for this next 4 breaths of mantras. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully wise as the mind of a Buddha of law symbolized by a tikle one-syllable seed or bija mantra. When we watch the news and we see the rise of jingoism and fascism and genocide and classism and sexism and racism, I think we can all agree that humanity can use some more wisdom. So we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the concise version of the same wish. Wishing love is the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Sowa 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Sowa. Having completed this set of mantra meditation, we now rest the mind in Sutra Mahamudra. But first, allow me to invite you to what's the word I'm looking for? And now together as a team, let us there was a phrase I wanted to share with you. What was it? When we spiritually grow as profoundly as, or evolve as profoundly as Yoda on Dagobah under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. Now I need to adjust something for a moment, and so this display might go a little nuts for a second. Don't worry, if it does, I will deal with it momentarily. Fabulous. Okay. We advance the left thumb. May all relationships of all beings to be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. Now let us rest in Proto-Zen's mindfulness and meditation. Let's advance our left thumb upon our left ring finger. May all bodies of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought. Of the blissful body of a Yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment such as Shakyamuni. It's not our job to work magic. It's not our job to be Gandalf the Grey. It's not our job to actively visualize. It's not our job to fervently believe. It's not our job to passionately emote. If all we do is silently and mentally play with these words, it will strengthen the appropriate neural pathways, and we will advance upon the Buddha's path of mastery. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Now let us rest in great coalescence. As we come now to our 8th set of 16 mantras, we advance the tip of our left thumb upon our left ring finger to its tip. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the good fortune or boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or vanity. So, if you've just joined, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 And now let us relax into Mahasandhi's mindfulness and meditation. Having completed 50% of our mantra meditation, we now advance the tip of our left thumb to our left ring finger. Our left middle finger, and slide all the way down to the first set of creases. Again, we're bringing the experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness now into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where letting go is emphasized. How is it that as we inhale, all lots of circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable, or for it is a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 So the key is this: as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite this rhetorical question. And as we exhale, we do our best to relax into the 12 syllables, into this recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 Whoops, my mistake. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 And now let us rest in the great completion. Oopsie, the great completion. Well, good grief. The great completion stage of mindfulness and meditation. How is it that as we inhale, all bodies or fronts can feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable of what is a real or imagined archetypal yadam of light. And of course, we want to advance the tip of our left thumb up our left middle finger to its second set of creases. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Now let us relax into Dzogchen's great completion stage. Let's advance our left thumb upon our left middle finger to its third set of creases. How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it can feel as non-graspable or what is a real or imagined mantra of light. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 And now let us relax into the utmost union of mindfulness and meditation. Let us advance our left thumb upon our left middle finger up to its tip. How is it that as we inhale, we could notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they can feel as not graspable or what is a real or imagined bija seed suitable of light. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite this concise rhetorical question. And as we exhale, we physically relax as best we can into the recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesuwa. 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 Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 And now let us rest in Ati Yoga's utmost union of mindfulness and meditation. As we begin our fourth quarter of this morning's practice, let us touch the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left index finger and slide it down to the first set of creases. And now let us transcend the vertical duality of samsara and nirvana by metaphorically inviting all the real or imagined Buddhas, their paradises, and their denizens to dwell in the 84,000 pores of our skin, thus practicing the body mandala of duality's awareness and non-duality's release. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 Now let us slice through the duality of hope and fear. Let us advance our left thumb upon our left index finger's second set of creases. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now we're going to bring the horizontal duality of us and them into the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as the yoga of inconceivability, where we actually harness our own self-centeredness in an effort to transcend it. I should say where we transcend our self-centeredness in the most ironic of manners. So we're going to flip back and forth between extensive verbal rhetorical questions and their concise, silent versions. I should say counterparts. What could it look like if all circumstances are lost blissfully and impermanently melted into a rainbow line that interdependently absorbed into this body or form? Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 What could it feel like if all forms or bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into a rainbow line that interdependently absorbed into this communicational speech? Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech blissfully and impermanently melted into a rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 What could it be like if all minds blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into a vast empty void? Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 Let us rest in Trekcho's slice through. Let us advance our left thumb up our left index finger to its third set of creases. And now we bring the spontaneous play of mind into Slice Through's path of awareness and letting go. This is known by many names, including Dzogchen's Great Completion Stage, Sutra Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, and in Tibet, Trekcho, which translates as slice through. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. But what is this? This is whatever we spontaneously notice during our inhalation, whether it is external or internal or physical or mental or pleasurable or painful, or interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesawa. 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 Let us rest in Trekcho's slice through. Oh, look at that. Please advance the tip of your left thumb up your left index finger to its tip. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 Let us rest in Trekcho's slice through the duality of hope and fear. Let's seal this practice with the universal mastery. Let's seal this practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all master letting go and love. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 May all master kind communication, conduct, and commerce. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 May all master the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yesowa. 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 May all master mindfulness and meditation. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 9 1/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.